India today has accessed chilling details of the first information report filed after riots in Nagpur. We'll get to those details. Remember what happened in Nagpur when a mob shouted provocative slogans, when rumors were spread, false rumors saying that, let me read that FIR, and I want you to read it. I want you to read this with me so that you know. What is it that the riotous mob was shouting? We will show the police now. We will not spare them nor any Hindu. Despite police warnings, and now I'm reading through that FIR, despite police warnings, the mob armed itself with dangerous weapons, including axes, stones, sticks, and other lethal objects, and terrorized the area. They deliberately tried to create communal tension and disrupt social harmony. The mob attacked the police with lethal weapons, throwing stones and even petrol bombs at them, with the intention to kill officers on duty. Police officers were verbally abused with communal slurs. You are Hindu police officers. You helped in burning our religious cloth. That's not all. When you read that FIR, it then goes on to say, it talks about sexual violence against lady police personnel who were deployed there. They were assaulted. In one instance, the FIR says the mob touched her inappropriately, attempted to strip her uniform. Here's a policewoman in uniform. The mob attempted to strip her uniform and hurled obscene comments. Other female officers were also subjected to sexual harassment, obscene gestures, and verbal abuse. This is just one part of the FIR. And over the course of the next half hour, I'll get you many more details. A detail that should be an eye-opener for those who try to justify riots based on rumors. But I want to bring in Sumi Keval Patel, who joins us from Nagpur, Maharashtra. India Today's finest team of reporters. They've been able to piece together what happened, and not on the basis of what sources are saying, but from the first information report filed in the police station. Sumi, bring us details of investigation so far. Who is this mastermind who has been arrested? What more do we know of this shocking, absolutely shocking molestation of a female police personnel deployed there?
Yes, absolutely. This is the most shocking detail now that is coming to the fore. That was mentioned in the 18-page FIR that has been filed by the Maharashtra police. And in fact, I would like to circle back to this particular point. The key conspirator here is Fahim Khan. He is understood to be the key conspirator. He's already behind bars. And in fact, he's being interrogated by the officials of Maharashtra police. And in fact, he played a key role in spreading the misinformation like fire in the sensitive areas. And he actually was responsible for the assemblage that happened at Ganeshpet, at Ganpatipet police station, right outside of 50 to 60 men, after which this entire violence took place in Nagpur. And in fact, right now, what we also know so far is that women constables, the women officials who were part of the quick reaction team, as well as the SRPF, along with Maharashtra police, who were deployed in huge numbers to contain the situation, they were also stripped, they were manhandled, and communal slurs were also hurled at them. But right now, what Maharashtra police is also doing is looking into this angle very meticulously, and they are scourging through various CCTV footages that are available with them. And in fact, now they are trying to identify the rioters who specifically hurt all these women officials' dignity, because now it's time for stern action against these rioters, against the conspirators, because it is going to be a very serious angle to the case, because Maharashtra police is very clear about this very point, that stern action will be taken against those rioters who tried hurting women officials who were officially on duty. In fact, there were a few rioters who tried to strip a women official as well. And now it is very, very serious what has taken place in the Nagpur violence. And remember, Nagpur is a place where There always has been communal harmony, but this time around, Fahim Khan, who already has previous cases of inciting violence in Nagpur, communal violence in Nagpur, is again responsible and one of the key conspirator. And interestingly, he is a politician. Okay. He, in fact, is part of the Minority Democratic Party. And in fact, he also contested the 2024 parliamentary election. He was one of the 24 candidates who had contested the parliamentary elections of 2024 against Nitin Gadkari, the BJP stalwart. And it is interesting now, his entire interrogation will take place and the investigation will be led in a new direction.
No, because we must get to the bottom of this. And Sumi, keep tracking that story and stay with me for a moment, because for the benefit of viewers who are joining us, I want our viewers to know what was happening according to the police who were on ground on the 17th of March. So the FIR that India Today has been able to access, it reveals how the mob, it specifically went after women personnel who were deployed there, women police personnel who were deployed there. A Congress leader, we are told, tried to justify this assault, saying police misused their uniform. The FIR in the Nagpur violence reveals how rioters, they targeted women police personnel during this violence. In one instance, they stripped a woman, they tried to strip a woman police constable. Women officers who were on the spot, repeated obscene gestures were made. They were subjected to obscene gestures and obscene comments. Rioters hurled communal slurs at the police, accusing the police of being Hindu. They made these slurs at those who were there to protect the people who were there, saying they were shouting anti-Hindu slogans. The FIR then says the rioters tried to kill police. This is the FIR says. And the FIR has been filed by a police sub-inspector on duty, and not one but two, who were on ground. So rioters, they tried to kill police personnel on duty, molest them, strip them and kill them. Congress MP Imran Masood, when asked on the molestation of the women police by the rioters, actually sought to justify it. He said, those cops were targeted, or words to that effect, because I want you to listen in to him, who misuse their uniform. Listen in.
देखिए, क्योंकि ये 2-3 जगह पे था, जैसे मैंने बताया, और एक स्ट्रेच के अंदर और कुछ अलग जगह पे, तो फोर्स अलग अलग फैली हुई थी हमारे कई अधिकारियों को, जिसमें महिला कर्मचारी हैं, उनको भी चोट लगी है। और उसका उनके साथ में क्या इंसिडेंट हुआ, क्योंकि पूरी फोर्स जो है साथ में थी, तो ऐसा अगर है इंसिडेंट तो उसकी हम लोग इन्वेस्टिगेशन, जैसे मैंने बताया, कि चल रही है उसमें। पर ऐसा कोई सामने अभी तक, क्योंकि उसको चोट लगी थी उस बच्ची को, तो वो उसका इलाज और उसने फर्स्ट एड वगैरह ली है, तो अभी उसकी फर्दर उसकी स्टेटमेंट में पता चलेगा।
पांच एफआईआर दर्ज हुई है, 50 लोगों पे अभी तक हम डिटेन कर चुके हैं, उसके ऊपर कार्रवाई शुरू है। साइबर सेल हमारा पूरा उस पे ऊपर काम कर रहा है। जैसे जैसे इनपुट्स आएंगे उस हिसाब से हम उनके अगेंस्ट में कड़ी कार्रवाई करेंगे।
नागपुर में जो इंसिडेंट हुआ है ये काफी गंभीर है। इसकी गंभीरता मद्देनजर रखते हुए जो भी कार्रवाई होगी वो बिल्कुल कठोर से कठोर कार्रवाई की जाएगी। जो भी लोगों की इतनी हिम्मत हुई है कि डीसीपी लेवल ऑफिसर और पुलिस कर्मचारी के ऊपर हाथ उठाना, ये बिल्कुल सहन नहीं किया जाएगा। बांग्लादेशी घुसखोरी के ऊपर जो कार्रवाई पिछले 3-4 साल से महाराष्ट्र में चल रही है, वो अभी और अग्रेसिव मोड में जा रही है। जो भी कंस्ट्रक्शन के ओनर्स है, जो भी डेवलपर्स है, जो भी कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स है, उनकी जिम्मेदारी है कि उनके साइट पे जो भी काम कर रहे हैं, उनके जो भी रिकॉर्ड है उनको उन्होंने पुलिस स्टेशन में देना चाहिए।
एक बात ये कही जा रही है उसके अंदर, एफआईआर के अंदर, कि जो मॉब वहाँ पे इकट्ठा हुआ, जो लोग उसमें शामिल थे, उन्होंने महिलाओं के साथ, पुलिस ऑफिसर के साथ बदतमीजी की, बदसलूकी की।
ये काम तो पुलिस का है देखे, लेकिन पुलिस को वर्दी का ख्याल रखना चाहिए। उन्हें वर्दी लोगों की सुरक्षा के लिए दी है, लोगों को मारने के लिए नहीं दी है।
मैं इतना ही कहूंगा कि महाराष्ट्र में लॉ और ऑर्डर ये साबित रहनी चाहिए, और खास करके हमारे जो पुलिस कर्मचारी, हमारे पुलिस भाई बहन हैं, उनके साथ छेड़खानी कभी भी महाराष्ट्र कोई भी एमएलए, कोई भी नागरिक कभी भी सहन नहीं करेगा। हमारे पुलिस भाइयों पे और बहनों पे कभी भी हाथ किसी ने लगाना नहीं चाहिए। हम उस बारे में हम सब लोग प्रशासन के साथ रहेंगे, हमारे पुलिस कर्मचारियों के साथ रहेंगे। व्यक्तिगत विश्वजीत कदम उनके साथ है। जिन्होंने ऐसी अगर हरकत की है तो उन पे कड़क शासन होना चाहिए। वो चाहे किसी भी जात धर्म का आदमी हो, कोई भी हो, उसको उस पे कड़क शासन होना चाहिए, उसको शिक्षा होनी चाहिए।
You know, there's another question I will be asking here. Is there a pattern to this? And this has happened in Maharashtra even before. Not many would remember when the Raza Academy violence had taken place at Azad Maidan. Women constables were targeted even that time. In fact, one woman constable, she was so upset and she said things to the effect that why do I wear a uniform if I'm not even safe in uniform? And if I'm not safe in uniform, imagine the plight of other women on the streets. But we'll talk about that in greater detail. What is Imran Masood, Congress Party MP, saying? He's praised Aurangzeb. He's a fan of Aurangzeb. But listen to what he said about women in uniform. Listen in.
एक बात ये कही जा रही है उसके अंदर एफआईआर के अंदर कि जो मॉब वहां पे इकट्ठा हुआ, जो लोग उसमें शामिल थे, उन्होंने महिलाओं के साथ, पुलिस ऑफिसर के साथ बदतमीजी की, बदसलूकी की।
ये काम तो पुलिस का है, देखे, लेकिन पुलिस को वर्दी का ख्याल रखना चाहिए। उन्हें वर्दी लोगों की सुरक्षा के लिए दी है, लोगों को मारने के लिए नहीं दी है।
I want to bring in India Today's Mustafa Sheikh, who joins us with more on the story. Sumi remains with me on this broadcast. Mustafa, what more details can you get us from this FIR about how the mob assembled? What kind of rumors were spread to get the mob? Or did the mob assemble on the basis of some rumor? Or were there social media messages that were going out? Was it planned, as the police say, and on what basis are they saying so?
Well, Gaurav, picking up from where we left yesterday, today the FIR copy of one of the cases of the 6 FIRs, one FIR which is registered in Ganeshpet had come forward, and in that Fahim Khan is one of the person whose name has been mentioned. So so a protest happens by the BHP and the Bajrang Dal people where a photo of Aurangzeb and one chadar which has allegedly Islamic text is burned. Fahim Khan with his 6 supporters and many other people reaches Ganeshpet police station, demands the arrest of these accused from the VHP and Bajrang Dal. The police assures them that the FIR has been registered against 9 people and their action will be taken soon. But the police says that these people who had come to protest and asked for arrest later went to Shivaji Chowk. They were then around at 4 p.m. on Monday, 400 to 500 people. They were raising slogans. Things were being said against the police. So it was being said that it was the police who allowed the VHP and the Bajrang Dal workers to burn this text. So that is where the narrative of hate against the police was put in the minds of people who had gathered there, and what happened later, the violence which happened, is has been mentioned and covered in the last few days. The new thing which also came forward, we knew that these rioters didn't spare the senior police officers, they attacked them. But what we are also knowing now is that the women police officials, officers who were on duty, wearing their uniform, trying to do their duty, they were also, abusive language was used, abusive gestures were made, and these are things which have come forward in the FIR. One of the serious charges against these rioters is of attempt to murder and misbehaving with an officer on duty has been put. They have been sent to police custody till 21st of March. Now, Nagpur police, even today, is arresting more and more rioters, and they are putting them behind bars. About 1,200 is the total number of accused, which the police say that have been booked in the FIRs which have been registered, but many are yet to be arrested. Back to you.
Okay, Sumi, it is targeting senior police officers, attacking senior police officers, but when it comes to women police, and there is a history, what happened in the Raza Academy riots, in the violence, there also women police were targeted. It's almost as if specifically the mob went after these women police constables and not just one. Was it one isolated incident, or was several women police personnel targeted, Sumi, according to the FIR?
Yes, that unfortunately, Gaurav, women become soft targets when such riots are incited. And in this particular instance also, several women were manhandled, not just one, but with one woman official, there were rioters who tried to strip her off as well. And there were incidences when the women officials have also received severe injuries. And in fact, fearing their life, they rushed into several residences in all of the sensitive route that they were deployed at. And in fact, these neighborhood and these neighbors, these people, the locals who live there, they tried saving the police officials, and that's how they saved their life. Otherwise, things would have been far more worse than what it is already. But there wasn't one incident, there were multiple incidents, and all of these women officials were targeted specifically, and that is what the Maharashtra police will now look into specifically. They will take a look at all of the CCTV footages. But remember, all of the CCTV cameras in and around the sensitive route, in and around 11 such areas where curfew have been prevailing since 48 hours. The CCTV cameras were specifically targeted, and it looks like a conspiracy. And in fact, in the FIR also, it is clearly mentioned that it was a hatched conspiracy. And in fact, 61 people have been detained so far. And right now, also, Crime Branch is on the ground trying to scourge through the situation, trying to scourge through the location, and in fact, is interrogating a lot of people. And all of the suspected people are being put behind bars because there were hundreds on road after the demonstrations took place on Monday. As an aftermath, Cyber Police is also looking into all of the suspicious social media accounts as well. And this is going to be interesting, how the entire violence took shape in such a city which has been otherwise very, very peaceful.
And how well was this planned? How well was this planned? How quickly were people assembled? So what does the FIR say? Stay with me. Let me get you more details. So this accused in this case is some person called Fahim Khan. He's some kind of a political leader. So this Neta Fahim Khan, he first took 50 to 60 people to the Ganeshpet police station. And Fahim Khan demanded action be taken against the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and Bajrang Dal. He wanted action against those who burnt the chadar during the protest. Fahim Khan and 8 others then asked people to gather and protest. So this started perhaps as a show of strength. Perhaps that will be investigated. That did Fahim Khan ask people to gather because they wanted to show the strength? And then what happened? Around 4 p.m., 500 to 600 people gathered around the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Chowk. The crowd then blamed the police for supporting the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and the Bajrang Dal. Slogans were shouted. A fake narrative was built, and then the police were targeted. Violence followed. Women police were specifically targeted. And the FIR lists out details of how women police personnel were targeted and they were injured in this incident. What more do we know of this Fahim Khan? What kind of a leader is he? Mustafa, what can you tell us about Fahim Khan?
Well, because he has been affiliated with a political party, he has been, contested one of the recent Lok Sabha elections. Somewhere he wanted to take the political agenda forward and go ahead and take this initiative and ask for an FIR. But clearly, what happens is that when you are leading a mob, when you're leading a protest, if that protest turns violent, if the protest does anything which is not as per law, then you are held responsible. And the same thing which seems to have happened, because Fahim Khan has been named in the FIR which has been registered. Now, whether he was the main culprit, whether he instigated this mob to turn violent, whether there was anybody else who created this message, whatever the thing may be, but the person who was leading prima facie is the person who has been named. The police has said that he is a political worker, but they are also verifying his past antecedents, if he had any criminal cases against him, and what was his real motive behind leading this protest. Because even after the police had said that the case has been registered, the mob demanded immediate arrest, and on those ground and excuse, The mob then, turned violent. They used abusive language and then charged on the policemen. So that is where the main issue is here, that the Nagpur police is investigating if this was a conspiracy, who is the main link, whether it was really the spontaneous protest that is being said, because different details are coming forward. Many of the accused who were trying to be rioters, who were trying to be arrested by the police, they went inside homes and they hid themselves. And all the accused, interestingly, the names which have come forward till date in the FIR, all of them are from Nagpur. So till now, the angle which was being said that some outsiders had come and turned violent, maybe, but they have not been identified yet. All the accused,
or maybe not in this FIR. You mentioned that there are multiple FIRs. There are multiple FIRs, right? This is one of those FIRs. Now we need to see who are the other accused and whether there was a common thread in this. Was it a much larger conspiracy? Because join the dots. This isn't the first city where a rumor was spread and then a riot happened. And this isn't the first time it's happening. Whether you look at the 2020 anti-CAA riots, rumors were spread in the national capital, and we saw riots in the national capital in CAA protests, when a wide ecosystem spread a rumor that CAA will take away Muslim rights in India. No Indian Muslim will lose his rights in CAA, and yet canards were spread, and for a very long time, and riots took place. Where is that ecosystem now? Of course, American funding or a lot of foreign funding has now been curtailed. We will see how much will they continue to do so. But let me, for the benefit of our viewers, tell you a little more about who this Fahim Khan is. He's being seen as the mastermind of these riots. Nagpur city chief. He's the Nagpur city chief of what is known as the Minorities Democratic Party. He contested, as Sumi Rajappan was just telling us, the Lok Sabha elections against Nitin Gadkari in 2024. He lost the elections. He's a resident of Nagpur. And he's the one who, according to the Nagpur police, delivered that provocative speech shortly before the clashes erupted. Clash or riots? They clashed with the police, sure. But the riots, were they pre-planned? The Nagpur police clearly seems to think so. So he mobilized a crowd outside the police station. He is the one, according to the police and according to the FIR, people who chanted Pro-Aurangzeb slogans. Pro-Aurangzeb slogans were chanted. Spread rumor about some holy cloth being burnt at Aurangzeb's tomb. That is how a rumor was spread, and that is how the violence took place. I want to bring in Sumi once again into this conversation. Sumi, it does appear, according to the Nagpur police, that this was very, very carefully planned, delivering a provocative speech before clashes, mobilizing a crowd outside a police station, and then chanting pro-Aurangzeb slogans, then spreading rumors about holy cloths, about some holy cloth being burnt at Aurangzeb's tomb. So all of this appears to be very well planned.
Absolutely. In fact, miscommunication is certainly the key medium through which it happened. And the miscommunication spread like wildfire. And that played a key role in inciting the violence within hours following the demonstrations that took place at Shivaji Chowk. And in fact, we had seen how VHP and Bajrang Dal were leading their protest at Shivaji Chowk, but nothing provocative had happened. In fact, they had burned the effigy of Aurangzeb, but along with it, a green sacred cloth was also burnt. And this was the narrative that was spread like wildfire, and several social media accounts were also employed to do that, which is why the cyber police is now meticulously looking into all these suspicious social media accounts as well. And this was certainly well planned, because between 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Monday, 50 to 60 people had assembled at Ganeshpet police station, and right outside there was an argument that also ensued between the officials as well as the MDP members. And after 3 hours or so, the violence took place, and all of the stones had been gathered within within 3 hours, all of the heavy concrete bricks, all of the cobblestones were assembled, in fact, gathered from the construction sites nearby and had, in fact, brought to all these sensitive areas. And the mob had, meticulously gathered at Shivaji Chowk, and from there on, they dispersed to various residential areas because the agenda was clear. The motive was clear, was to hurt and damage public property and also to disrupt the life of common people in Nagpur, and also give out a strong message that we are not okay with what happened at the demonstration by the VHP. And this was certainly very, very clearly heard.
Sure. But can anybody, and this is a question, those who defend the rioters, they need to respond. If you don't like something, aren't they the people who say, start a parallel protest? Does it entitle you to hurl bombs? Does it entitle you to hurl incendiary material and petrol bombs, identify homes, and then specifically target some homes? I have a list of names that the police have given out of those who've been identified. There is a Saif, there is a Shahnawaz, there is a Muhammad Haris, son of Muhammad Ismail, there is a Yusuf Sheikh, there is a Muhammad Yusuf, there is an Azam, and it is a longer list. And what is it that the police are saying? I want to read out from the first information report. Mustafa, the first information report says, despite being instructed to maintain peace, the above mentioned individuals gathered a crowd of 500 to 600. It identifies the community at the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Statue Chowk around 4 p.m. on March 17, 2025 to protest against the earlier incident. Despite police announcements, both via microphone and direct communication, were made by officers including Inspector so-and-so, urging the crowd to disperse peacefully and return home. The crowd refused to comply. It then goes on to say, it instead resorted to violent action, blocking police from performing their duties and inciting riots through social media. There is a bigger angle to this. Social media, Mustafa, was used to fan the fuel, to fan the fire.
Well, as far as social media is concerned, in the 3 to 4 hours window since the time of the first protest by the VHP and Bajrang Dal to this violence being reported, that's the 3-4 hour period was very crucial in terms of social media, because through that the reels and whatever videos were made in that protest was circulated, and basically that was used to influence people or make them emotional about something. The other important thing is that, as you rightly said, the delegation was taken to a police station, and the police station had assured them the FIR has already been registered. There are 9 people who have been booked, and action will be taken in due time. Things went out of hand because this crowd then basically took law into their own hands, because after 4 p.m. whatever happened in this 2 kilometers area of Nagpur, be it Hansapuri or Mahal, this was unprecedented, never happened in Nagpur, and has disturbed the peace fabric of Nagpur, the trust which the two communities had between each other.
No, and, because the two communities must know, and the nation must know, what transpired. Because there may be a cover-up, there will be an elaborate cover-up by some, or an attempted cover-up by some. But what is it the police are saying in the FIR? Police officers were verbally abused with communal slurs. In a shocking act of sexual violence, female police constable so-and-so was assaulted. The mob touched her inappropriately, attempted to strip her uniform, and hurled obscene comments. Other female officers were subjected to sexual harassment, obscene gestures, and verbal abuse. The rioters then vandalized and set on fire public property, including a police booth, 2 CR mobile vehicles, police motorcycles and barricades, vehicle parked near Chitnis Park, crane machine deployed to flyover so-and-so, shop, houses and hoardings were damaged. Due to panic and fear, local residents locked themselves inside their homes. Shopkeepers, they shut. Of course, then there's a list of people who've been taken into custody so far. I'll get you more on that. The mob attacked the police with lethal weapons. Police were attacked with lethal weapons, throwing stones and even petrol bombs at them with the intention to kill police officers on duty. This is what transpired in Nagpur. I want to now take our viewers through some CCTV images that India Today has been able to access. Women police officials are shown in this video, and one police officer, and watch this image very carefully, injured, rescued and taken to safety. Watch that image. A lady police, if I can see her rank correctly, if it's 2 stars, she's an assistant sub-inspector. If it's 1, we'll have more clarity on that in just a moment. When the vehicles were set on fire, they identified vehicles which had Hindu markings. According to eyewitnesses on ground, those vehicles were targeted. There's a lady police officer who was injured and she had to be rescued and dragged to safety. I want to bring in Sumi for more on this. Sumi, what more do we know about this image of this lady police official? Her leg appears to be grievously injured. What more can you tell us? She's an officer. What more can you tell us, Sumi?
Yes, certainly she's one of the victims of the, of the violence that took place in Nagpur. And in fact, she was hurt with a lot of stone pelting. And in fact, what I know so far, only a little bit is known so far about this particular women official. But again, it went on to speak volumes about the kind of violence that women particularly faced in this entire riot. And these women were small in numbers and deployed along the quick reaction team as well as the SRPF. But this particular women officer is from the Maharashtra police. She was deployed here. And since there were huge concrete bricks and all these cobblestones were thrown at them, this particular women official also was grievously injured, and in fact immediately she was rushed to one of the houses here in Chitnis Park where she was looked after, and she stayed there for a while, had her first aid done, and in fact after which she went on to go to the hospital, nearby hospital, where she was treated. But again, this is one of the women official who has faced the brutal violence that took place, and in fact the aftermath is really crucial here, because the aftermath is certainly going to leave scars. All these women who have been manhandled and sexist slurs were thrown at them, they were just trying to do their job. This has to be remembered, and certainly the crucial action that will be taken by the Maharashtra police will certainly send out a message to all the rioters across the country to refrain from any such actions in future if at all there is a riot elsewhere in the country. And Maharashtra police is now discussing this very, very carefully, and in fact review meetings are being held. Just a short while back, we had also seen how the Commissioner of Police of Nagpur had also come on the ground. He was taking inputs from his subordinates, and particularly he also spoke unofficially with us that the women officials are now doing fine, but they are very, very mentally disturbed by what has happened, because they were completely unarmed, but the way they were followed, the aggression of all the rioters. Definitely all of them, certainly all of them were feared for their life, and thanks to all the people who were at the Chitnis Park who helped all these women officials and rescued them. Now certainly this is very shocking the way the entire episode has played out, but women certainly become the soft targets of these rioters, and there's always nobody to save them. But this time around there is also goodness in this entire picture, is that the neighborhood came to the rescue of all these police officers as well as the DCPs who were hurt.
Shumi, stay with me. Mustafa, stay with me. It's a very, very disturbing story. There'll be elements who will blame a movie. There'll be elements who will blame those who want Aurangzeb's tomb to be removed. But they will never, never blame the rioters. A riot can never be justified. No riots can ever be justified. Least of all, riots that happen after rumors, and rumors that are deliberately, spread. Once can be coincidence, twice, perhaps happenstance, third time, and that's an old Ian Fleming line, it's clearly hostile action. Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, has reacted to this. He spoke on the Nagpur riots in the Vidhan Sabha. He insists nobody will be spared. Anyone who attacked the police force will not be spared. We will bring them from their grave if that is where they go and hide. He says he's spoken to the Commissioner of Police of Nagpur. He said he's been briefed and he's describing it in the house. Nagpur is a silent city. We haven't noticed riots even in 1992. People of Nagpur are very tolerant, but this time we can see some elements deliberately spread violence. We have investigated in detail. No effigy was burnt. Nothing. This is the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, who's also the Home Minister of the state. He's saying nothing was written on the holy chadar. But some people spread rumours about it. And then the situation worsened. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, says, I have instructed the police force, do not spare anyone who made Nagpur violent. Very, very clearly, the Chief Minister, his statement of intent is very clear. Will action follow on ground and deterrent action to prevent the next riot based on a rumor? More than 400 people are reported killed in Israel's renewed airstrikes on Gaza Strip. More than 500 have been injured, and Israel is saying its offensive against the Hamas will continue because Hamas is still to return close to 60 hostages, of which 30 sadly may no longer be alive. That's the information that we've been able to get. So right in the middle of Ramzan, when people were just returning to their homes in the northern and the eastern part of the Gaza Strip, there was massive aerial bombardment, and the Gazan Health Ministry is reporting more than 400 fatalities, half women and children. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned this is only the beginning. Israel will continue to act against Hamas till all the hostages are returned. But that's not all. Israel has a wider game plan. Now listen to this. I'll get you more on the wider game plan. Just a short while back, I spoke to Israel's ambassador to India, Ambassador Reuven Azar, on what Israel's intentions were. Why wasn't an effort made to continue the negotiations to get the hostages back? But Israel has a bigger plan. Listen into reactions that are coming in.
יחד עם שר הביטחון, קיבלתי את המלצת צה"ל והמלצת גורמי הביטחון לחזור ללחימה עצימה נגד החמאס. מכאן ואילך, ישראל תפעל נגד החמאס בעוצמה הולכת וגוברת. ומכאן ואילך, משא ומתן יתנהל רק תחת אש. החמאס כבר הרגיש ביממה האחרונה את נחת זרוענו, ואני רוצה להבטיח לכם, אני רוצה להבטיח לו, זו רק ההתחלה. אנחנו נמשיך להילחם כדי להשיג את כל מטרות המלחמה. שחרור כל חטופינו, חיסול החמאס, והבטחה שעזה לא תהווה עוד איום על ישראל. החמאס כבר הרגיש ביממה האחרונה את נחת זרוענו, ואני רוצה להבטיח לכם, אני רוצה להבטיח לו, זו רק ההתחלה. אנחנו נמשיך להילחם כדי להשיג את כל מטרות המלחמה. שחרור כל חטופינו, חיסול החמאס, והבטחה שעזה לא תהווה עוד איום על ישראל.
Ambassador, what explains, Namaste, what explains this sudden escalation?
Well, the ceasefire, the temporary ceasefire that we had has long passed, and Hamas has refused and rejected the proposals of the American mediators to bring back our hostages and renounce power in the Gaza Strip. We have waited for a long time. We cannot continue with the situation in which they have their hostages and they are not releasing them. And we decided to go back to push military pressure in order to get our hostages back and get finally a diplomatic solution for this conflict.
But the escalation and the scale of escalation, you've had 400 fatalities on the other side, and they're not Hamas, so, and that too in Ramzan.
Hamas, actually.
You're saying all 400 who are dead are Hamas?
Unfortunately, the Hamas leaders are hiding behind civilians, they are taking out their uniforms, they are blending into the civilian population, and they're using the civilian population as human shields. We have said that in the past. They have been abusing all the codes of humanity in order to survive in the Gaza Strip. This is not going to play for them. We have the resolution to defeat these terrorists. They have to leave the Gaza Strip. They have to let the Palestinian population to move on. They are holding hostage not just the Israeli hostages, they are holding hostages the entire Palestinian population. They deserve a better future.
ये बड़ी बात आप कह रहे हैं कि हमास के आतंकवादी जो है वो गाजा पट्टी में फिलिस्तीन के लोगों को भी उन्होंने बंधक बनाया है. But Ambassador, you've also told people, Israel's told people to move towards central Gaza. Now, is Israel creating a larger buffer zone or Israel asking people to just leave the Gaza Strip completely?
Well, no, the people, Israel is not asking the Palestinians to leave Gaza completely. What we are doing is we are creating the conditions that if Hamas doesn't accept the American proposals, we are going to take over the territory, we are going to clean up the Gaza Strip, we are going to get in charge of the humanitarian assistance, because what is happening now is that Hamas is using the humanitarian assistance that is being given free of charge by the international community. They are sequestrating that, selling it to the population in order to control the population. And that's how they keep their government in the Gaza Strip. So if they don't cooperate with diplomacy, bring back the hostages, leave the Gaza Strip, we will have to go in, take over the territory, be in charge of the humanitarian assistance ourselves.
That's a big, big story that you're giving us on here on Aaj Tak and on India Today. आप ये कह रहे हैं कि अगर गाजा से लोग सेंट्रल गाजा में नहीं गए, so Israel will move into Gaza Strip. Are you saying you'll move into Gaza Strip right from the Israel-Gaza border all the way down to the Egyptian border, all the way down to Khan Yunis, all those areas?
That's a possibility. We prefer to refrain from doing it. We can achieve a diplomatic solution, but Hamas has to face the fact that they have been defeated. If they don't face that fact, and they continue to be stubborn to stay, we'll have no choice but to enter the entire territory.
Yeah, you will control Gaza Strip. Should there be a requirement, you will distribute aid and not Hamas. That's the point you're making.
Nobody in the international community is going to come to reconstruct the Gaza Strip while Hamas is holding the grip of power in the Gaza Strip. That has to be very clear. Nobody is going to fight Hamas rather than Israel. And therefore, there are two options here. Either Hamas chooses the way of diplomacy, brings back the hostages, renounce power, leave the Gaza Strip, and if they refuse, Israel will have to go in and then transfer power to a more moderate leadership, transfer power to international stakeholders that then will be able to help the Palestinian people. How can you help the Palestinian people if all the aid that they are getting is being robbed by Hamas?
Okay, is there a time frame for Israel to do this right now when people are being asked to move to central Gaza and clear the areas of the east and the north?
We are not going to talk about operational considerations, but we are saying it very clearly. There is an alternative for this military operation. We prefer to stop it today. Hamas has to release the hostages today. Hamas has to renounce power today.
How many are on board this plan of US President Donald Trump that America will rebuild or international stakeholders will rebuild the Gaza Strip and Palestinians will have to move out? Powers in the region say that's unacceptable.
Nobody's talking about force, removing people by force.
2 million people.
Nobody's talking about forcibly removing people. What the administration has been saying is that we might need, after Hamas is out, we might need a window to rebuild the Gaza Strip because the situation, the conditions are very dire, are very bad. In many places, it's completely unlivable. So, like in other conflicts, when people have left the conflict zone temporarily, like in the Ukraine war, like in the Syria war, a lot of people have left. It doesn't mean they cannot come back. So the total rejection of the idea that people can temporarily move out, I think, is a very negative rejection. Why Palestinians should be different from others? They deserve to be treated like people, like human beings. This is what we want to achieve, a situation in which this piece of land that is actually near the Mediterranean Sea, a very good location, it has a great potential. We can build the Gaza Strip to be a good home for the Palestinians. They just have to decide to stop trying to destroy the state of Israel
If
and
Hamas
concentrate
refuses to
in
leave.
building their own country.
If Hamas refuses to leave, if Hamas says, this is my home, I will stay, I will fight till the end of time, what are options for
Well,
Israel?
they're going to have to face the full might of the Israeli Defense Forces.
Israel and the United States, those issues that you faced with the Biden administration, is that history now with the Trump administration?
We are in full sync with the American administration. This military operation that we started 2 days ago was completely coordinated with Washington. And I think that there is a common approach here, that if you want to have stability in our region, you have to defeat the radicals. You have to get the radicals to understand that they cannot continuing threatening people in the region. Look what's happening with the Houthis. They are disrupting international trade. They are creating a situation in which billions of dollars of losses, ships, civilian ships are being hijacked. This is completely unacceptable. And we are seeing a new approach from Washington when it comes to this problem. I think that if we work in sync, in a coordinated way, this will send a strong message to those terrorists that want to continue disrupting our lives.
Is there an apprehension this could escalate into a wider regional conflict like it did? Iran bombed you in the past and that led to massive escalation. Is there an apprehension it could lead to another escalation?
I doubt it, and I'll tell you why. Because Israel has already shown that there is a very dear price to pay when we are attacked. We've seen what happened in Lebanon. Hezbollah attacked us. At the end of the day, they were decimated. There is a different political situation in Lebanon today. There is a new government that wants to build Lebanon, that doesn't agree to this policy of Hezbollah to be a ground, to be a place from which Israel is attacked from. So this Iranian agenda is no longer present in Lebanon. We see a change in Syria. We've seen a change even in Iraq. The militias are no longer firing at Israel. Iran has been attacked because we retaliated. So if they decide to renew their attacks, they're going to face a very dear price from us, possibly from the United States. So that's why I'm very skeptical that this very focused conflict can spread into a much wider one.
That's another very big point you're making here, Ambassador, for joining me here on Aaj Tak in India today. Many thanks. Shifting focus to the United States, there's been another major attack on Tesla in the US. A Tesla service center was set on fire in Las Vegas, and this was just days after Cybertrucks were targeted in Seattle. The blaze triggered a sharp reaction both by the Tesla chief, Elon Musk, and US President Donald Trump. Initial investigations charged that fires were deliberately set on fire. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is taking over the probe and to find out whether there's a larger conspiracy behind the repeated targeting of Tesla at multiple locations. The Tesla chief has blamed the violence on the left cabal, as he put it, claiming Democrats were deliberately targeting him and Tesla for his work as the DOGE, or Department of Government Efficiency, chief in curbing corruption and stopping government fraud. US President Donald Trump called the arson an act of domestic terror and said attackers will be caught and it will be revealed they were funded by the left.
As you know, and as you heard this morning, the FBI has opened an investigation into what was reported as initially as an arson at a Tesla facility that occurred at the Tesla Collision Center in Las Vegas. As Assistant Sheriff Corin noted, the FBI is working hand in glove with our partners at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department to investigate this incident. This is being investigated by the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force. We are working tirelessly to gather all the facts. Our agents have been on scene since early this morning. One thing that I wanted to highlight and make crystal clear, especially in light of reporting that's been ongoing around the country about similar incidents targeted attacks at Tesla facilities, is that violent acts like this are unacceptable regardless of where they occur. And specifically to those who might think that something like this is justifiable or potentially even admirable, we want to let you know it's a federal crime. We will come after you, we will find you, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. I encourage anyone that's considering something like this to seriously reconsider.
Bill Gates, the chairman of Gates Foundation and the former CEO of Microsoft, met Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare, J.P. Nadda, in the parliament earlier today. The Gates Foundation has been involved in several health welfare initiatives in the country, including a partnership with the government in the immunization program. Additionally, the foundation is working on a cervical cancer initiative. Hailed India's achievements in artificial intelligence, saying that the country's leadership in AI will drive innovation worldwide. He also interacted with the drone Didis trained under the Namo Drone Didi scheme. The visit featured a live demonstration of the Marut AG-365 drone piloted by the drone Didis, or rural women, showcasing the role of drone technology in improving agriculture efficiency and enhancing rural livelihood.